Hello and welcome. I'm Patrick Curtis, your host and chief monkey, and this is the Wall Street Oasis Podcast. Join me as I talk to some of the community's most successful and inspirational members to gain valuable insight into different career paths and life in general. Let's get to it. Another interesting chat with the WSO interns. If you're interested in applying to the internship, please check out the show notes. There's a link right there. Enjoy. We'll start this off, I guess, just as usual. Anyone have any questions about the internship specifically? And then if not, any questions about career stuff and whether it's networking, interviews, anything like that. Happy to answer those. Obviously, the group's much smaller because people are in school. A lot of people are working hard right now. But the good news is the efforts from the intern team has really started paying off. We're seeing like steady growth in traffic to the resource pages from all the articles. We have over 2,000 articles that have been published in the last year. So it's pretty impressive what the team's done. But yeah, just wanted to open it up. Emma, are you new here?
No, I've been busy usually on Fridays. So
cool. Well, welcome.
Like the second call I've been able to get on.
Awesome. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Anthony, I don't know if you're new. Elsa, welcome. I know Adrian's been here pretty consistently. Yeah, any questions, Adrian? Anything going on with you? Did you have your new resume done or no? Not yet.
Yeah, I have a new resume, and I'm going to be sending it to like boutique sort of IB firms, I guess, for hopefully selling this summer or like whenever. So I'll be.
That'll be freshman summer, right?
Well, it'll technically be like before I enter freshman year because I'm still like on a gap.
Oh yeah, because you're still like, okay, you're doing like a gap year or whatever.
Yeah, except like I guess with my peers from high school, I would be. Like,
it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to get in anywhere. Just
well, yeah. That's why I'm only like looking at like small, like like local boutique firms that are gonna be around like Connecticut. But okay, let me try to make it like a.
No, you broke up for a second. What was that? Should you make it what?
Send it as a Word document or a PDF?
Oh, Word's good. Yeah, you can shoot it over.
Okay. All right.
Then Emma, if you want us to do a resume review, or Elsa or Anthony, happy to kind of take a look. What's your situation, Emma?
I'm in getting my MBA right now.
Oh, cool. Where at?
And oh my gosh, sorry.
That's fine.
It's Quinnipiac University in Connecticut, smaller school.
Yeah.
So I am, I guess, currently looking for a job for next year. But I did this program called the 3+1 program. So I didn't really have time to do any this is the only internship I've ever done. So
cool. Okay. And then did you come straight out of undergrad and go into that program, or how did it?
Yeah. So it was, my undergrad was 3 years, and I basically just did school for like 3 years straight.
Yeah.
Every break I was doing school, because you had to do your undergrad in 3 years. It was like crazy. I was doing classes like all the time.
Why did you have to do it in 3 years?
It's just part of the program. And then this is my 4th year, and then I'm doing my MBA. But it's a good program because you get fixed tuition all 4 years. And it's just like, it has a lot of perks. Like the extra classes I was taking weren't at an extra cost.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's like all you can eat. Like basically you go you do like as many classes as possible.
Yeah. And it was a lower tuition than like the normal school's tuition. So it is a good deal. Yeah. It's just like, you just have to be determined, and it is a lot of work
to get through it. Yeah, for sure. Are you on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
I don't see you. Are we connected?
I can share.
Yeah, maybe just share your link. Just want to take a look, see how you're like framing things. So what type of roles are you looking for? So you're graduating in May or June?
Yeah, I'm graduating in May. I guess I don't really know. What has sparked my interest, I guess, in the past few months is equity research, investment or portfolio management, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I took a class last semester, and then I'm a manager for a class this semester. It's basically a portfolio management class where we manage the school, like Quinnipiac's funds, and we just like allocate them, and that's like our whole job for the whole semester. So
That's cool.
yeah, it's a cool experience.
Yeah, that's great. And I assume that's on your resume.
So
you haven't updated your resume yet?
The rules of the class is that you can't put it on your resume until you're done being a manager. So after the semester, I can go on my resume. So yeah.
Well, we won't restrict you on the WSO internship, putting that on your resume. So that's good. So equity research, portfolio management. Okay, yep. Accelerated 3+1 BS MBA. Awesome. Very cool. So I think, nice. Where are you from originally? In Connecticut area?
New Jersey.
Where?
I'm from New Jersey, but
Jersey.
I currently live in Connecticut.
Yeah, nice. So I think good on you for like, kind of grinding through 3 intense years and stuff like that. I think the good side, the upside is that it gives you, it keeps costs down, and so you're not getting as much student debt, right? Downside is it's giving you less time to explore.
Yeah.
And like figure out like, hey, what do I want to actually do after I graduate? And so like, for people who potentially their parents are helping them, or they have more funds to kind of go to school and do a summer job that's unpaid. It's easier in the sense of like they have more time to network, they have more time to like do all that stuff. So like looking at your background, the MBA is good, but the MBA is also like you're like plowing through.
Yeah, exactly.
And so for me, I'm like, man, the MBA is more like a reset. That I see it as a reset for people. So I often like people to say, hey, get a job right after undergrad, even if it's not like ideal, just for a couple of years, and then use the MBA as a reset if you need to pivot or change. But you're getting it. You're kind of in the middle of it. So there's no stopping now. But I think with a master's without the work experience, you need to be like open-minded around like, what type of finance roles. Because a lot of people are gonna be like, hey, but you have no experience. It's a chicken and the egg.
Yeah, I've definitely run into that. And I've definitely learned to keep an open mind about that.
Yeah. So like if I had talked to you a year ago or a year and a half or 2 years ago, I would have said, hey, stop, go work.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it is a program you already signed up for, right? 3+1.
I mean, like I had to sign a contract before I even as a senior.
Like when you were like 17.
Yeah. So like I mean, I knew what I was getting into, but I guess I just didn't know.
Would they not have given you your Bachelor of Science after 3 years if you had stopped?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I know I signed a contract that said like I have to stay for 4 years. I don't know if they would have kept that.
They probably would have not given you the MBA, but forced you to pay a 4th year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is pretty painful, but.
Yeah. So.
Okay. It's really interesting because I haven't heard of this.
Not a lot of schools have this program. I mean.
Yeah. And I think it's good for motivated people. It shows motivation. My concern is like, it's not giving you a chance to like really explore for yourself. Like in the summer, were you doing classes the whole time?
Yeah. So I was taking, for the past, since I've been in college, I've been taking like 2 or 3 classes over the summer, and they're not like art classes. They're like finance classes. They're not like silly classes. But I mean, I know people who have done like internships with like JP Morgan and all of that, while they were doing these classes, and they said that was just like almost impossible.
Yeah.
Like they almost didn't pass their classes. And I was like, yeah, I'm so glad I didn't do that, because I don't know. I was like, I wouldn't have like a life if I did that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the hard part is, so I think you've done really well in school. I think the hard part now is translating it to like show that you're open, even with the MBA, you're very open to like entry level roles. Mm-hmm. It's like, I almost like want to downplay the MBA.
Yeah.
Because I think people are gonna be like, oh, she's a post MBA, she's gonna expect, $100K salary, You know what I mean? And I think I don't think that's appropriate for somebody who's never worked. Just because you
Mhm.
plowed through classes doesn't necessarily mean you have the experience to kind of demand that. You know what I mean? So what I would do is, well, a couple things. Just looking at your resume, I have your resume. I pulled it up from your. So, number one, I'd update that for sure with like the WSO stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, if you could do that and remove the nanny one.
Yeah, that's what.
And then even remove that from like your LinkedIn.
Okay.
And then if maybe we can spend some time on this call, I would get rid of your summary at the top.
Okay.
Kind of look at the template that we've done. I think Adrian put his in it. Let me see if I can pull it up.
So I actually have to hop on another call at
Yeah, sure.
30. I'd hate to leave.
No, go.
But if it's over, I can hop back on this.
Yeah, hop back on. I'll let you right back in. Yeah, no worries.
Sorry.
Then, no, it's fine. And then like I think there's one thing before you leave.
Oh yeah, no worries.
LinkedIn networking.
Yes.
You're very behind.
Okay.
You have 200 connections on there.
Okay.
Like you need your super high GPA. Like you need your focus right now through the end of your thing should just be fully on like just networking and getting interviews and practicing that and developing that skill. That's your course. That's your most important course for the next 6 months.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Sorry, that was quick.
No, it's fine. It's good. So Adrian, I got your stuff, I think here. Let me see if I can open that.
Yes. I think the only change which I did not do sort of intentionally was I think last time you told me to get rid of periods and then I did that, but then I just thought that like even if the sentences like some of them
that's just as long as it's consistent, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. And then like I got rid of them and then it kind of looked like blank or ugly on some spots, so I just decided to keep them in.
Cool, no worries. Great, this is good. Yeah, I think it's looking pretty strong, man. I mean, the only thing that's going to really hurt you is like just your age.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously I know that, which is why like I'm not applying to like a Goldman Sachs or like some JP Morgan thing, but
yeah, I mean, you can, but they're just going to be like apply next year. I think more important than just applying to those would be actually just talking to people, trying to build up relationships at those firms.
Right. So
remind me where you're going next year, or you don't know yet?
Yeah, I don't know yet. Except I did like I was admitted to Wake Forest last year, so that's kind of like if I don't get into like other schools, like I ED to like Penn. I don't think I'm gonna like it's unlikely. Except still so like schools like Penn, like UVA, BC, NYU, kind of like in that range. And then if I don't get into some of those schools, then I at least have Wake Forest, which certainly isn't a bad school. So. Yeah.
All the ones you just mentioned, though, UVA, NYU. Yeah, tend to place much better.
Right. Yeah.
It's gonna be an easier road from there. So if you can do that, I would highly, if you can transfer, I would highly recommend that.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then you mentioned like trying to build like connections in those like other companies. Would it still be worth like applying to like an internship, obviously not expecting anything, but then hopefully just already starting like a relationship with like some of the larger larger companies? Or
no, just informational interviews. I think you conduct yourself well enough in like a call and whatnot to just, and ideally you're learning enough early on where you can like actually not sound completely green on these calls.
Right.
So I think if like you do a little research before the calls and stuff like that, I think it's smart to start building out that network. I haven't looked at your LinkedIn recently. How is it looking? Have you like been doing any of that or just no? I know you're busy, but
I mean, like, I'm not like in terms of growing the network. I haven't really been like, aggressively like following, a bunch of people because, like I know that, I still just kind of, in terms of LinkedIn look like a high school.
I see. Yeah. You're super. Yeah. You got like 52 connections, blah, blah, blah. Whatever school you get into.
Right.
I'd almost put that more as a backdrop. I'm looking at your LinkedIn rather than the WSO logo because I think it'll look more professional.
Definitely.
Once you have that, and then But I don't think you should stop. I mean, you have the IB the virtual experience on there, JP Morgan. So that's good. You have like all that stuff that shows interest. It's important.
Right.
I would actually be like, start building this out, because like you're at like 52 connections or whatever.
Right. So like, just, what would the next steps be, more or less, for that? Just, go on to like Goldman Sachs, like
So
employee.
you're going to be East Coast, right? Soon. So do you know where you're going to be living?
Yeah. Like Fairfield County, Connecticut. So
loaded with
yeah.
loaded with bankers and families and
Yes.
older bankers that would love to mentor you.
Yes.
So I think what I would do is really try to like target that area. Be like,
Right.
hey, I'm going to be moving to the area. Blah blah blah. I'm coming to school. I'm still, obviously, looking to start. I'd love just to stay in touch. It could just be that, even like, I think I'm still too early to really know or to ask the right questions, but I just wanted to connect and stay in touch as like I progress. I'm confident that I'm interested in a career in finance.
Right.
And so I'm still trying. So even just like putting those feelers out there with bankers that potentially live in Fairfield area. And I don't know how you know that, but maybe you could do some filters for like Connecticut and because like a lot of these people are probably members of like yacht clubs in Connecticut and like country clubs in Connecticut. And, so you could probably do some reconnaissance work there. And I think that would be more helpful, because if you connect now or in the next year, then when you need the contact in 2 years, when you need that coffee chat in 2 years,
it's easier.
You've already been connected. And, you may only get 10% of people accepting the connection request.
Right.
But you might be surprised. Right. People may actually be very curious about your background too, because I can see you, I can see like where you came from in California. You get the Palo Alto, and people are like, is he like startup guy? You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But I don't think it hurts. As long as you're humble and you're just trying to bridge that out. And it can be anything from associates through MDs through whatever. Don't be shy.
Right. Okay.
As long as it's not like I'm a this and like I'm going to be an investment banker. You're not like a hardo or whatever. I think it's okay.
Right. And so so I guess this is a pretty good question. So I sort of have to, I guess, just staying on LinkedIn doesn't matter. Like, I don't totally know how it works. Like, I'm not like LinkedIn Pro or something. Should I get like one of those free kind of 1 month things when I send messages? Like, does that help with interacting people, like with people? I don't know, because I do know that some people, it's like you can't message them if you aren't LinkedIn Pro. I know that's
you don't need it right now. Maybe later when you get really ramped. But I think right now you don't have to pay anything. You can just literally, just connection request them, and in that field, in the connection request, you can write like 1 to 2 lines, and that's what I would do.
Okay.
And just be like, hey, I know I'm early, but I've entered at Wall Street Oasis, and I'm definitely interested in a career in finance, and I saw that I'm moving to the area. I just thought maybe down the road I'd love to stay in touch and see if I could pick your brain at some point in the next few years. People will be like, whoa, like this kid's planning like way ahead, like this is good. It'll look good. And I'd be curious actually, if you send 100 of those messages, are you going to get 10 connection requests? That might be really interesting. Or is it going to be 5? And each one will probably take 30 seconds to send. So it's not like a crazy amount of work.
Right, exactly. And then do you think it's worth applying to like positions at small boutique firms? Because like I have seen like in either like Fairfield, Connecticut, or like some of those they have like boutique only investment banking firms with like only 10, 15 employees. Like I've already kind of
definitely apply and just say, hey, I'm willing to do an internship. I don't know if you can afford to do an unpaid internship, but if if your parents can support you for that period of time, I think that would be a huge advantage.
Right.
To get something on your resume because it's all steamrolls, man. It's all like building the profile. Like the earlier you can build a profile, the better chance you have at landing that first internship, the better chance you have like getting the middle market, then elite boutiques, and then bulge brackets. And it's like, that's why it sucks how early recruiting has gotten, because it's actually not really fair, because kids who don't come from this area kids who don't find Wall Street Oasis till junior year, they're kind of screwed.
Right.
They're like, it's too late, like for most of them, especially if they're not at the right school.
That's true.
But even if they're at the right school, if they're at a target school, guess what? All the other kids that knew freshman year are like, you know,
Right. Yeah, they've already made inroads.
like time is so much more valuable than even the brand name on your resume. Time and like knowing how to network can outwin anything. So like one of my mentees, she started with me when she was a freshman, like going into freshman year at Fordham, and she just killed it. She had offers from like everywhere because she just started early.
That's
people were like, oh, you have time to find yourself, time to decide. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but not really, because recruiting's like sophomore year now for junior summer internships. And so like, okay, how much time do you really have?
That's true.
I don't like it. I think it's bad. I think it's bad because it doesn't let diverse populations who are not in the know, even have a chance. And so like there's programs that are trying to change that, but it's like you got to start in high school now.
Yeah,
like, you got to reach these kids in high school to like to have them ready by sophomore year.
That's true.
I don't know. They try to like quickly teach like SEO, MLT, all these programs are trying to teach these kids like freshman year, but it's like they have no exposure. Almost none of them have any exposure through high school. Right. Whereas like somebody from like my background or probably from your background in high school or friends of friends, they probably were taught like what is investment banking. And that's like just knowing it even exists is a huge advantage.
That's true.
Anyways, welcome, Mohammed. Good to see you.
I just wanted to say I totally agree. I think it was the first years of my studies I realized there was investment banking in private equity. Yeah. Because none of my friends was talking about it, or none of my friends knew that there's something like investment banking or private equity. All of them were only focused on the tech industry and software engineering and all of that. And I recently had my interview with KKR, and it was quite funny. The associate was she told me the same thing. She was studying real estate at a non-target school. Yeah. And she was like, I just emailed so many people, so many firms. And at the end, she landed at Morgan Stanley, did private equity real estate for 3 years. And then she got the offer from KKR in Frankfurt. So it's amazing to see what you can reach, or just try, like just cold mail. I don't know, an MD probably who has studied in the same university, and
I'm looking at your background, very impressive.
Thanks.
Yeah,
excellent.
You're on your way. You're on your way. When are you done?
If I can be honest with you, in April 2022, this year, I didn't even knew what M&A was what I didn't knew what it was.
Yeah, and you're graduating.
What private equity was, and then it changed for me. That I was like only focused on this stuff and failed so many interviews. Didn't even knew one. I still remember one of the interview. The recruiter was asking what is EBITDA, and I was like, oh. I don't know. And then I was researching on Google, and it was like earnings before it was earnings before interest. And then just give me a second. Taxes, depreciation, amortization. And it's funny to see how you can progress your career if you just stick with it. And I think the most problem we have in our generation is we think all the doors are closed because we are from a non-target school or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to ask you, Patrick, yes. I received an offer from the LSE, but it was an online course. So it was the online Bachelor of Science. Mm. Do you think the online Bachelor of Science is respected the same way as the traditional course?
Probably more so now, but I don't know. Is the answer. Like, I'd ask LSE, hey, what are the stats of like placement? My guess is like the people taking the online course, it's not going to be as valuable because you're not getting the relationships from going to school with like people at LSE. But it looks good on. Do you have to say online course on your resume and on your LinkedIn? Because if not, it's pretty valuable.
Yeah. I try to get in the traditional course because, as you have said, I love networking. I love being probably in London, living there. But online, it's like you live in the same place.
Are you in Germany or Zurich?
Yeah, I'm in Germany, but I travel to Zurich every day to work. It's like 2 hours. So
oh, wow. Cool.
But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, is it worth it? I mean, you have your undergrad, you have your BS. So you're thinking of like a master's or just getting another BS?
No, it's the credited grades of the KIT that I'm going to. So I'm just continuing my Bachelor of Science. It's not still finished.
Oh, but you're transitioning to LSE potentially.
Exactly. It was a Hail Mary. I just said, yeah, YOLO. We'll figure out if it's possible or not. And they have accepted me. It was quite funny because it was like 99% they are not going to accept me. And
how'd you do it? You said 99%, or they said the odds are low?
No, it was my mindset in that time.
Yeah.
But now I've realized you just have to try. Like, even if you fail and it's a rejection, why not? At least you have applied for it.
Right. Yep.
And that's the same thing for Credit Suisse. That's the same thing for.
So you start there in September 2023.
Exactly, but she wrote me I can start February 2023.
Cool.
And it's better. I do not want to waste that much time.
Yeah. So I don't know much about what that does to your prospects for recruiting and stuff, because at least in the US, it's like when you go on campus, like the firms come on campus.
Yeah.
And so you're at a disadvantage in terms of like the networking itself.
100%.
But in the age of Zoom, you may be able to have a lot of informational interviews with LSE on your LinkedIn and kind of make up for that a little bit. So it's going to be a little bit more on you, I think, to make your opportunities. But it sounds like you're very much aware of that.
Yeah, it's true. I hope I can talk with the administration and figure out a way how to get into the traditional course.
Or even just like talk to them about like the on-campus recruiting and how do you get into those? Are those resume drops available to you? All that good stuff. I assume they are.
I try, hopefully.
I would just try to make sure your resume doesn't say online anymore.
I didn't get that.
I would try to make sure your CV doesn't say online anywhere. I'd try to like de-emphasize the fact that it's an online LSE program. De-emphasize it, or don't even say it.
It's true. Yeah.
If you can, and I think it depends on their rules. Do they force you to do that? Or they?
They didn't.
Okay, so then pretty valuable.
Yeah, and I've realized even if you talk with probably MDs from, I don't know, I just for fun, really just for fun, I cold mail. I asked one of my friends, what is in your opinion the best private equity firm you believe in? And he was like Blackstone in London. And I was like, all right, I'll just cold mail these guys, cold mail an MD. And he told me, I'm not responsible for the recruiting, but I write the head of Europe in the human resources. And she wrote me back. And she was like, yeah, we are interested in your profile, and we'll reach out to you. So it's funny what you can achieve nowadays with only LinkedIn and all this stuff. It's incredible. It's
it's inspirational, but people don't do it.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's exactly the problem. I cold mailed.
People are like, there's no way you could ever get in, or no one's ever going to respond.
I cold mailed 160 directors and MDs from the top firms like EQT, Blackstone, KKR, BlackRock, even Larry Fink, just for fun.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, man. Your ambitions are not that high. We can figure out a way how to grow your business. Just funny. You don't have to take yourself too serious.
Yeah, I love it.
And I realized from these 160 cold mails, I have received only 10 responses. 7 of those responses were no, and 3 of them were a yes. So Goldman Sachs, wealth management in Zurich, KKR in Frankfurt for the real estate private equity, and Julian Loki in Frankfurt for the M&A industrials. So just try it. Why are you scared? Like, even if they do not respond, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah,
even if you have only one interview from 100,
really good.
Even if in the end of the day they are going to tell me, yeah,
And that's 160. That's not 1,000 or 2,000.
exactly.
Not that
And
much work.
even if you fail all, yeah, exactly. It was like 2 hours because I only have changed the name of the firm,
Yeah,
and the name of the person, and yeah, it's. I only wish you guys all the best for the future.
I love
it. Just try it. Like, but yeah,
that's cool, man.
Kind of hard.
Yeah, you're on your way. I mean, you crack the code of just knowing, not being scared of like networking anymore is just it's just so powerful.
Yeah,
it's realize like there's not that many barriers up, especially if you start getting certain things like the WSO internship on, and then you get like a bank internship on, then it just starts steamrolling, and it's like then people will actually talk to you.
Yeah, and even with my internship right now at WSO, people, or even my friends, were like, "How did you get that one?" And I was just like, just apply. Like, you only have to apply. That's it. Like, come on, man. It's not that hard. It's not like you're not doing your PhD or something like that. just try. And that's it.
Yeah, it's
sad to see.
People get in their own head. People get in their own.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's good to hear you're on the right path.
Hopefully, thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm very confident in that you'll be in a good spot, especially with the LSE brand now. It's going to open. Yeah. If you have a good brand and then you're like enjoy networking and talking with people and you're good at it, it's like forget it. You're good.
I can only advise, or
even coming into a recession.
Yeah, that's true. It's going
to be hard.
I have figured out it's going to be available time for me, even with the courses, after doing my research and doing hopefully good work in my internship right now.
Yeah,
because I have realized it's not going to be sufficient just to do my quick research on because I'm currently in the second round interview at KKR, and it's like real estate, financial modeling, all that stuff, and it's going to be tough. But
do you have our real estate modeling course?
Yeah.
It's drill on that. Drill on it. You got to learn. It's more the lingo that's really different with real estate. So just practice on the lingo, like understanding cap rates and all that stuff, and like like what does that even like? What does it mean? It's just the same thing. It's just like different. It's a different. It's a different like dictionary. Yeah,
it's true. I've tried that, and she had like the last question was a brain teaser, and it's just fucked me up at the wrong time. It was like she asked like it's 3 p.m. 15, and you have to figure out the degree between
the angles of the clock. Yeah, that's a very.
And I was like,
our technical interview course has that brain teaser in it. You should have known that.
Oh man, I was so nervous because first of all, it's KKR. I'm like, how did I even get this interview? And I was like, come on, man, just ask me about IRR or cap rate. I've tried everything, and she was like, no, you have to respond. And I was like, come on, man, it's 15, it's the same thing. And she was like, no, it's 360 divided by 12, and you have then 30, and you divide it by 4, and you have 7.5. And I was like,
7.5 like degrees. Yeah.
Exactly. And I was like, come on, man, stop it. But it's so interesting how you can. Sorry, just one thing. It's so interesting how you can kind of manipulate people if you only get into their LinkedIn account. When I did my research on her LinkedIn account, I realized the day that she had birthday, and even her boss had birthday. And if you say these things in the interview, like, I just want to congratulate for your birthday and everything like that, you stay in the head of the recruiter.
Yeah, you just change the whole dynamic.
Exactly. And even if you just see the things she liked, you kind of see the world with her own perspective, and then you can.
Yeah, what is she commenting on? What is he commenting on?
Exactly. What are they? That's so valuable. Sorry,
I was just gonna ask about like this interview question on the clock. Like, I've never heard of something like this. Like the question is, it's 3:15, and what's like the angle in between the
hour and the minute hand?
And it's not like 0. How's it 7.5? I need
because the 3 is past the 3. It's not exactly. It's at 15. It's a quarter of the way through the hour.
I had the same response or even the same reaction. I was like, isn't it the same? And she was like, no. And
that's why it's a brain teaser.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one is literally in our technical interview course. It's a very common one. There's a couple others in there too. For our IB interview. It's like these people, they just regurgitate the same shit over and over again. I don't know. It's a lot. I'm like, come on. It just gets, again, it's okay. I mean, I think those are just silly. But you know.
Is it okay? Wait, so I do have a question then in general, like Patrick, if you get that question in an interview, if you just answer like immediately just 7.5 because you just know the answer, like, you know, from that, would they just kind of be disappointed, like, oh, like, you know,
you know it. Yeah, like, you could. I mean, it depends. It depends how, like, on your ethics, right? And you could just say, well, I know this. You can just say, I've heard this brain teaser before. That actually might give you more points.
Okay. If you like acknowledge that you've heard it, you don't like.
Yeah, I'd be like, I know it's 7.5 because the 3 is this past, and you explain the logic behind. I would still explain the logic behind it to show that you understand it, but be like, I've heard that. I don't want to come across like I suddenly came up with it in my head.
Yeah,
you could be like, because that's a pretty tricky one. You can just make them laugh, right? Like it's an opportunity to do something else with the answer. Then they might ask you another one, and you'll be like, that one I haven't heard, and you know, like I have no clue.
Right.
But that's okay, because then it's like, okay, well, he's like, that is something that, especially if you're being interviewed by somebody who really values like how trustworthy you are, and you know, that type of thing, I think it can go a long way.
Okay.
Making a good impression.
All right, sounds good.
One of my friends just told me he had an interview yesterday with a hedge fund, and they were like, "Can you please calculate without pen or a calculator?" He was like, 2,439 multiplied by 4,378, and he was like, "Come on, man." What do you want me to do? Just because I'm at the PKU doesn't mean I have, I don't know. They thought like he has this brilliant Chinese calculator in his head. And he was like, come on, let's stay realistic.
Well, I mean, I think the issue is more, how would you approach that problem? So it's not about getting it right.
That makes sense.
It's not about getting it right or being able to quickly respond to it. It's like, well, how would you break that problem down? So this is another very frequent brain teaser. It's giving really large math problems, 42 times 68. So it's like off the top of your head, you're like, I can't do that. Like nobody can do that in their head. Well, there are people who can do it really fast in their head.
Right. That's right.
With a certain type of brain chemistry and brain type can do that. But for the most part, most neurotypical people cannot do that. So I think that's the whole point. The whole point is to see how do you respond under pressure. And so, like, let's say it was something that's a really hard one. The one you just said is insane. But if you said, okay, well, it was like 2,000 something and 4,000 something, so you break it down, and be like, okay, well, let's remove just like 2,000 times 4,000, right? Suddenly you're able to say, okay, we're probably in the ballpark. Let's start at like 8 million, whatever it is. I don't even know what it is. Or what is it? 8 million, right?
Yeah.
And so then you say, okay, 8 million, then like, okay, 230. What was it? You could say, what was it? And they'd be like, it's, I'd be like, okay, so 300, so 8 million plus this. And you'd be like, okay, so it's probably 8,300,000, you know, whatever. You'd start getting close.
That makes so much sense.
And so then suddenly they're like, oh man, he's breaking the problem down into smaller bits. He's approaching this like he's trying to do this. And so like, even if you're not amazing at math, you can kind of get in the range and be like, make a joke, you know, you can make a joke.
Right.
And
it makes so much sense.
And you could even make something like, you could even say like, look, you may get somebody in here that can do that question in a few seconds, but come on, are they going to be able to have a beer with them? And I'm just kidding. No, I wouldn't say that, but like you could say something, but are they going to have this? Are they going to have the social skills and the team skills to actually be able to communicate when they don't?
Exactly. Right. And even in the associate level or VP level, it's not about calculating. It's more about getting deals done, getting the deals.
Hedge fund,
or is it still?
Well, hedge fund, it's not deals. Hedge fund, it's more about analyzing data quickly with imperfect information, just making decisions and recommendations on like stuff. So I don't know what kind of hedge fund it was. If it was a quant hedge fund, they're really trying to see like more like just actual like brute strength capacity and IQ on certain levels. So like if you're in a quant fund, that's a much more appropriate type of brain teaser. Because you have to just be so comfortable around numbers, or just computer science majors and PhDs there tend to be more comfortable around numbers and with algorithms and stuff like that, which is more important for logic, right? And so like the way I broke it down is logic. So even if you don't have a superhuman brain that can do that, you at least are approaching the problem logically, and that's what they want to see. So
that makes sense. Yeah. I will reach out to my friend and explain that that we solve the problem from the wrong perspective.
Yeah, it's not about getting it right. And like oftentimes they'll give you, it's not just like crazy math questions like that. They'll sometimes give you just, well, that's like or like how many windows are in New York City? How many ping pong balls can fit in a 747 airliner? These sizing questions, it's very common in consulting. And again, it's just how you approach it and how you start breaking the problem down into more digestible chunks. And I definitely have under pressure too.
Yeah, I definitely have to read the
interview courses.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it has a lot of these.
What I have understood so far is that if we have spent 25 hours in our work, we get like 3 courses for free. Did I understand that right?
Yeah. For every 25 hours you get and 3 articles you get a free course. But the IB interview course includes technical, behavioral, and networking. That's one course.
Oh, that's a good
one.
Valuable.
Yeah, that one's a good one. And if you want to do financial modeling, I would start at Excel. That's like the foundation. Make sure you're using the tool properly. Then going financial statement modeling, then valuation, DCF, M&A, LBO. I leave M&A and LBO. It's like because like everyone jumps to that, but it's like, well, you don't have the foundation of like knowing how to play the instrument in Excel. So yeah.
Thanks for the advice.
Yeah, no problem. Anything else, guys? Yeah, anything else?
Yeah, I do have a really quick question on the courses. Like I've redeemed a few, except because I'm still working on the internship. I don't have like a ton of time on them. Once we have like the free course, it's there for like basically ever.
Yeah, you got it.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no rush. No rush.
Okay. Right.
No rush except your own drive. I would say to you though, like I'd say there's going to be more value right now, and you kind of get the IB interview course, read the networking course.
Yes.
And start applying the lessons there to LinkedIn and start doing that, because that's going to be the skill that's the most correlated with your success.
Definitely.
Especially since you're so young and like you're not even going to be hit with the real interviews like anytime soon.
Right. Exactly. So.
It's giving more information on like, do you ask good questions? Have you done homework prior? Did you look at the LinkedIn, see what they were commenting on? And like, did you wish them the happy birthday like Mohammed said? Are you likable?
Yes.
And even if I had done the mistake that I didn't have the right answer with the brain teaser, I replied and said, thank you for the interview and everything like that. And I replied at 15:15. So it's kind of like, all right. he kind of got it, because
like
I realized
as a joke, you probably exactly at that time.
Exactly. It's just the little things you can do to stand out
to actually like plant a memory.
Exactly.
So in 6 months when you reply, hey, they're like, oh, you're so funny, Mohammed. Yeah, we'll have you come in, Mohammed, for an interview, no problem.
But hopefully I get the second one, and I say optimistic, and hopefully we get it done. It's
a lot to be said for energy too, positivity, smiling. Like Mohammed you have an energetic personality, you can see it. So that's infectious in an interview. It becomes more of a conversation rather than, I don't want to grill you because you seem like a nice guy. But you know what I'm saying? It makes a difference versus if you go in like stoic, like serious, stiff.
Yeah.
Right? Now, what can happen is if you're a little too goofy or too nice or too jokey, you can get an associate that's going to grind you.
Yeah.
It's going to grind you hard. Like, be like, tell me about this, give you brain teasers, give you the whole interview will just be torture. But that's where like being ready for that and just nailing it all right back is like very powerful.
That's true.
So it's like reading the room. So if you find that you're like, I stepped a little too far, or I made a joke that wasn't right, or like even ideally you haven't made that mistake when you walk into a room, but you read the person and realize this person is like no bullshit. They're angry. They're pissed off. They don't want to be doing this interview, but you read that and you're still able to make a connection and turn it a little bit. That's the true skills of interviewing and networking. And that's where that more than anything is why networking is so important, not because it's going to get you more interviews even, it's just going to build up your skills of talking with people.
Definitely. Yeah.
That's where like people are like, oh, but like it's such a low hit rate. Yeah, it's a low hit rate, but it's the only way you're going to get on the phone with people or start meeting with people for coffee. It's the only way. And that's the only way you're going to get the reps in to be good about speaking about yourself, about answering good questions, about actually learning more about the industry and showing genuine interest.
That's powerful advice for sure.
Yeah, that's really where the value is coming from. It's actually getting on those calls. It's not like, oh, is this one person going to get me the job? Especially Adrian, for you, like you have a couple of years before you even should be worried about that,
Right.
So
I can remember one of my interviews. I had like the HR team mailed me like 10 times with different interview times, and I was at the wrong time, and it was so chaotic. And I just entered in the Zoom meeting, and the VP was sitting like that in the investment banking interview, and his shirt was like plugged off because he was so pissed. And I didn't have these skills in the first time, and I just realized this is going nowhere. Like this is going nowhere. And even if and that's exactly what Patrick just said. If you had the skills to turn this negative atmosphere into something positive, it's going to be insane. But I hadn't.
Or even if you don't turn it into something positive, but you survive, and that person, when they're around the table talking about all the candidates, you're the one they don't shit on as much.
Yeah, that's right.
They all sucked. They were all like really weak. I don't know where we're getting these kids. This person couldn't even walk me through DCF. This person couldn't do this, but he doesn't mention your name and everyone else liked you.
That's powerful.
Right.
So like you got to understand, like it's about surviving those negative situations too, and trying to be. And like sometimes people walk out and they're like, "Oh, I'm screwed. Like there's no way I get an offer here," and then they get an offer call because guess what? That person was a jerk to everybody. And they're like, "We need to hire somebody now. Like I don't care what you say,
That's true.
Love it, Patrick. I really appreciate your time.
Awesome.
Thanks.
I'm gonna run. I got a call, but thanks everybody for joining. We'll do it again. These are fun little, more intimate calls with the smaller groups, but it's fun.
All right. Thank you so much.
Good luck with your move, Adrian. When is it? Next week?
No, next month. Early
you still got away. Okay.
Good luck.
All right, guys. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye. And thanks to you, my listeners at Wall Street Oasis. If you have any suggestions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to send them my way, Patrick@wallstreetoasis.com. Until next time.